Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into one of the most exciting topics for coin collectors and treasure hunters, the most valuable Monticello 5-cent Jefferson nickel ever made. First up, the 1965 Jefferson nickel without a mint mark is a coin that tells the story of a unique period in United States coinage history. It may look ordinary at first glance, but this coin represents a time of great change at the U.S. Mint, when America was facing a nationwide coin shortage and important adjustments were made to how coins were produced. In 1965, the U.S. Mint decided to remove mint marks from all circulating coins. That means the 1965 Jefferson nickel, like yours, shows no mint mark at all, even though many were struck at multiple mint facilities. This was done to discourage coin hoarding and to make it harder for people to collect coins by mint location during the shortage. So, your coin without a mint mark isn't an error. It's a normal and intentional part of the mint's plan during that time. On the obverse of the coin is the portrait of Thomas Jefferson, designed by Felix Schlag. His profile faces left, surrounded by the words, "In God We Trust Liberty," and the year 1965. The reverse features the beautiful image of Monticello, Jefferson's home in Virginia, with the inscriptions E Pluribus Unum Monticello 5 cents and United States of America. You mentioned that your coin has a black color shade and is in fine condition with some scratches. The black or dark tone usually appears from years of circulation and exposure to moisture, air, or chemicals. This kind of dark toning or oxidation can form naturally over time, especially when a coin is stored in less than ideal conditions. It doesn't make the coin rare, but it does give it an aged, historical appearance that shows its journey through many hands. In fine condition, a 1965 Jefferson nickel still shows most of the major design details. You can clearly see Jefferson's face and Monticello's outline, but much of the finer detail is worn. Small scratches from handling are also typical for coins that have been in circulation for several decades. When it comes to market value, the 1965 Jefferson nickel, without mint mark, in fine condition, even with some scratches and dark toning, is generally worth 5 to 15 cents. While it's not a rare coin, collectors often enjoy keeping these 1960s nickels because they represent a special moment in U.S. mint history. Coins in better condition, such as extremely fine, about uncirculated, or mint state, can sell for $1 to $5, and examples with sharp details or unique toning may bring a small premium. If you ever find a 1965 Jefferson nickel that appears extra bright or has a sharp, mirror-like surface, it could be from a special mint set. These sets were made between 1965 and 1967 to replace proof coins, and the nickels in them often have higher quality strikes and better luster. A 1965 SMS nickel in high grade can be worth $5 to $20 or more, depending on the condition. While your coin is not rare, its black color shade and wear marks tell a story of time and circulation. Every mark and change in color reflects decades of use in American commerce. A coin that likely passed through countless hands since the 1960s. It's a small piece of everyday history, and that's what makes collecting coins like this so interesting. Even a common Jefferson nickel can spark curiosity about how coins were made, how they've aged, and the changes that shaped U.S. currency during the 20th century. In today's market, a 1965 Monticello 5-cent Jefferson nickel without mint mark, in fine condition with some scratches and dark toning, is valued between 5 and 15 cents, while high-grade or special mint set examples can reach $450 to $500. Next up, the 1979 Jefferson nickel with the D mint mark is another interesting and collectible coin from America's long-running Monticello series. It was struck at the Denver Mint which is represented by the small D mint mark located to the right of the Monticello building on the reverse side. Even though this coin is not considered rare, it remains a favorite among collectors because it reflects the craftsmanship and tradition of American coinage in the late 1970s. The Jefferson nickel design, first introduced in 1938, was created by sculptor Felix Schlag. The obverse features a bold portrait of Thomas Jefferson, the third president of the United States, while the reverse showcases Monticello, Jefferson's historic home in Virginia. This design continued for decades with only small adjustments, making it one of the longest-running and most recognizable coin designs in U.S. history. By 1979, the U.S. Mint had mastered large-scale nickel production, and the Denver facility struck over 325 million Jefferson nickels that year. Because of this high mintage, the 1979 D nickel is a common coin in circulation today. However, not all examples have survived in good shape, so a coin in very fine condition, like yours, still represents a quality find. A coin graded as very fine shows clear details on Jefferson's face and Monticello, though with moderate wear on the high points. The steps of Monticello may be partially worn, but most major features remain visible. Some scratches and small marks are completely normal for coins that have circulated for more than 40 years. Your coin also shows the marks of timelight scratches and signs of handling, but these add to its story. It may have passed through stores, gas stations, or countless hands over the decades, carrying with it a small piece of American daily life. Now let's talk about its value in today's market. A 1979 D Jefferson nickel in very fine condition with some scratches is typically worth around 10 to 25 cents. While it's not a rare coin, collectors value well-preserved examples for completing their date and mint collections. If your coin were in higher condition, for example, extra fine, about uncirculated, or mint state, the value could increase to $1 to $5, depending on eye appeal and luster. The real collector value for this coin comes from special strikes known as full steps nickels. These are coins where the steps on Monticello are fully visible and sharply struck. Because most 1979 D nickels were made quickly for circulation, full-step examples are much scarcer and can bring strong prices when graded by PCGS or NGC. Certified mint state full-step coins can sell for $50 to over $150, depending on their grade and quality. Collectors also check for errors or die varieties, such as off-center strikes, die cracks, or doubling. While none are widely famous for the 1979 D issue, occasional errors can increase a coin's value. Even a minor striking error could make a common coin like this more interesting and desirable. While your 1979 D nickel might not be a rare treasure, it still represents over 4 decades of American coinage history. It's a coin that has survived from a time before digital payments and plastic cards, when coins were an essential part of daily life. Each scratch, mark, and trace of wear tells part of that story. Many collectors love finding and saving these older Jefferson nickels because they connect us to the past and show how even common coins can hold beauty and history. In today's collector market, a 1979 Monticello 5-cent Jefferson nickel with D mint mark in very fine condition is valued between 10 and 25 cents, while high-grade, full-step, or certified examples can reach $50 to $150 or more. Even though it's not a rare date, it remains an important piece of the Jefferson nickel series, a symbol of America's enduring coinage tradition, and a reminder of how every coin, no matter its condition, has a story to tell. Next up, the 1962 Jefferson nickel with the D mint mark is one of the interesting coins from the early 1960s that continues to attract collectors today. Struck at the Denver Mint, this coin carries the small letter D on the reverse side, just to the right of the Monticello building. It belongs to the long-running Monticello nickel series. which started in 1938 and has become one of America's most familiar coins in circulation. Designed by sculptor Felix Schlag, the Jefferson nickel was created to honor Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States and the author of the Declaration of Independence. The obverse of the coin shows Jefferson's portrait facing left, with the inscriptions, "In God We Trust Liberty," and the date, 1962. On the reverse side, we see a detailed image of Monticello, Jefferson's historic home in Virginia, along with the words "E pluribus unum," United States of America, and 5 cents. The 1962 D Jefferson nickel was produced in very large numbers. More than 280 million coins were struck at the Denver Mint. Because of this high mintage, most examples are common, but well-preserved coins are still appreciated by collectors, especially those who want to complete their full Jefferson nickel date and mint mark collections. A coin in fine condition, like yours, means it has seen moderate wear from circulation. The details on Jefferson's hair and face are visible but slightly smooth, and the Monticello building on the back shows some flattening, especially on the steps and dome area. Small scratches or marks are completely normal for a coin that has been used in daily transactions for decades. Your coin also shows a bit of surface wear and scratches, which gives it a vintage appearance and tells the story of a coin that has traveled through American history, passed through countless hands, exchanged in shops, and carried in pockets since the early 1960s. Now let's talk about its current market value. In today's collector market, a 1962 D Jefferson nickel in fine condition with some scratches is generally worth around 10 to 20 cents. While this may seem modest, it's still above face value and shows that older coins are always worth checking carefully. If the same coin were found in a higher grade, such as extra fine, about uncirculated or mint state, its value could rise to around $1 to $3, depending on luster and overall eye appeal. However, the most valuable examples of the 1962 D Jefferson nickel are those with the full steps designation, meaning that all 6 steps on Monticello are fully visible and sharply struck. These are rare because most dies used for striking nickels in that period were worn or weak, which caused the step details to fade. Certified full steps examples graded by PCGS or NGC can reach prices of $50 to over $200, depending on the sharpness and condition. Collectors also pay close attention to errors and varieties. Some 1962 D nickels show small die cracks, off-center strikes, or doubled features on the lettering or design. While these are not extremely common, any such error can make a regular nickel much more valuable, especially when confirmed by a professional grading service. Even though your coin is not rare, it still holds historical charm. The early 1960s marked an important time in U.S. history. The space race, the rise of modern America, and the last few years before major changes in coin compositions during the mid-1960s. Your 1962 D Jefferson nickel is a small but authentic piece of that era. Collectors appreciate these coins for their endurance and classic design. They remind us how coins from everyday circulation can become pieces of history worth preserving. In today's market, a 1962 Monticello 5-cent Jefferson nickel with D mint mark in fine condition with some scratches is valued between 10 and 20 cents, while high-grade mint state or full steps examples can sell for $50 to $200 or more. Next up, the 1949 Jefferson nickel with the D mint mark is a beautiful and collectible piece of mid-20th century American coinage. Struck at the Denver Mint, this coin carries the small D on the reverse side to the right of the Monticello building. It's part of the long-running Monticello nickel series that began in 1938 and continues to this day, making it one of the most iconic designs in United States coin history. The Jefferson nickel was designed by sculptor Felix Schlag, whose design was selected after a national competition. The obverse shows a left-facing portrait of Thomas Jefferson, the third president of the United States, while the reverse features his Virginia home, Monticello, with the inscriptions, "A pluribus unum States of America and 5 cents." By 1949, America had fully recovered from World War II, and the Jefferson nickel had returned to its regular copper-nickel composition after the wartime silver issues. The Denver Mint produced over 36 million nickels that year, making the 1949 D issue fairly common. However, the condition of surviving coins varies greatly, and well-preserved pieces like yours in extra fine condition are always appreciated by collectors. In extra fine condition, your coin still shows clear and strong details. Jefferson's hair, face, and collar are visible with light wear only on the highest points. On the reverse, Monticello retains much of its structure, and you can still see a good amount of detail in the steps and columns, though they may be slightly smooth. The coin also has some scratches and marks, which is normal for a circulated piece that's been around for more than 70 years. Those small scratches tell a story of a coin that has traveled through generations, perhaps used in stores, gas stations, or even tucked away in a collection for decades. Coins like this carry more than just metal value. They carry history. Now let's look at its market value in today's collector world. A 1949 D Jefferson nickel in extra fine condition typically sells for around $0.50 to $1. While it's not a rare or high-value coin, it's still a nice early-date nickel that adds depth to any Jefferson nickel collection. If the same coin were found in higher grades, such as about uncirculated or mint state, the value could rise to $3 to $10. In certified mint state grades with full steps, meaning all the steps of Monticello are completely visible and sharply struck, the value can increase significantly. Collectors highly prize the full steps designation because it's rare for coins from this time period to have sharp details. A 1949 D full steps Jefferson nickel graded by PCGS or NGC can sell for $50 to over $150s, depending on the strike quality and condition. There are also a few minor varieties and errors known for this year, including weak strikes, die cracks, and off-center strikes. While not common, such errors can increase the value for collectors looking for something unusual. Your coin, even with some scratches and dirt, still stands as a fine example of post-war American coinage. The 1949 D issue represents a time of peace and growth in America, when coins like this were used daily in an economy that was booming after the hardships of the war. Collectors appreciate coins from this era not just for their design, but for what they represent, a connection to the everyday life and spirit of the late 1940s. In today's market, a 1949 Monticello 5-cent Jefferson nickel with D mint mark in extra fine condition with some scratches is valued between 50 cents and $1, while higher-grade mint state examples can sell from $5 to $10, and certified full steps coins can bring $50 to over $150. Even though it's not an extremely rare coin, it remains a meaningful and collectible piece of American history. It's part of the classic Jefferson nickel series that has stood the test of time for nearly a century. Every coin has a story, and your 1949 D Jefferson nickel tells one of endurance and value, a coin that has lasted through generations and continues to be admired by collectors today. Next up, the 1942 Jefferson nickel without a mint mark is a very interesting and historic coin, especially because it was made during a time of great change in the United States Mint. This coin comes from the early years of the Monticello nickel series, which began in 1938, and it represents one of the key transition years when the composition of the Jefferson nickel changed due to World War II. Now, what makes the 1942 issue special is that there were actually two different types of nickels made that year. Early in 1942, the Mint continued producing nickels in the regular copper-nickel alloy. These coins were struck in Philadelphia and Denver, without the large wartime mint marks. Later that same year, as the U.S. entered deeper into World War II, nickel metal was needed for the war effort. So the mint changed the composition to a silver alloy, known as the wartime silver nickel. Those silver nickels have large mint marks above the Monticello dome. Your coin. The 1942 Jefferson nickel, without a mint mark, belongs to the early copper-nickel type, meaning it does not contain silver. It was struck at the Philadelphia Mint before the transition to the wartime alloy. In total, around 64 million of these 1942 no-mint mark nickels were produced, making it a common issue, but still collectible because it marks that important change in U.S. coin history. Your coin is in dirty condition with some scratches, which is normal for a coin that has been in circulation for over 80 years. Dirt, surface marks, and wear show its long life in American commerce, from the 1940s, war years, through generations of use. Even though it's not in perfect shape, it still holds value as a historical collectible. In terms of grade, your coin seems to fall into the good to fine range. The main details of Jefferson's portrait are still visible, and Monticello can still be identified, though the finer features like hair details and steps may be worn smooth. Now let's talk about its current value in today's market. A 1942 Jefferson nickel without mint mark in dirty or circulated condition is generally worth around 10 to 25 cents. While that may seem modest, it's still several times more than its original face value, and the coin carries great historical interest. If you find a cleaner example in very fine to extra fine condition, the value can rise to around 50 cents to $1. High-grade uncirculated pieces, especially those with sharp details and full steps, can reach $10 to $20 or more, depending on their eye appeal and condition. Collectors often look for wartime silver nickels from 1942 as well, those with the large mint marks above Monticello, which contain 35% silver. Those are more valuable and can range from $1 to $5 or more, depending on condition. But your coin, being the early copper-nickel issue, represents the original composition and the start of the wartime transition, which makes it a meaningful historical coin in its own way. Sometimes, minor errors and varieties can be found on 1942 nickels, including off-center strikes, die cracks, or doubled lettering. While these are not very common, any noticeable error can increase the value for collectors. Even though your coin shows age, scratches, and some dirt, that doesn't take away from its story. This 1942 Jefferson nickel has witnessed over 8 decades of American history, through war, change, and progress, and it still survives today as a small but powerful reminder of that time. In today's coin market, a 1942 Monticello 5-cent Jefferson nickel without mint mark in dirty condition with scratches is valued between 10 and 25 cents, while higher grade or certified pieces can sell for $10 to $20, and rare error examples can bring even more.